بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Ramadan Mubarak. Inshallah, let's start our conversation contemplating on Quran and this month of Quran, Ramadan. So we were going with descriptions of Quran, and for today, our description is tongue of the unseen world in the manifest world. So this time in the past, one of the previous discussions, we discussed about ghaib, alam al-ghaib, what that might mean. But this description here, Quran being the tongue of the unseen world in the manifest world. So for this one, I will try to make sense of this in terms of question and answer. And just to say that, let me start from there. In one of the previous discussions, I was mentioning that when I was in high school, reading the translation of Quran didn't go too well with me. It was like I was shaken by reading certain translations. And the reason for that was like there were verses which didn't sound like I couldn't make sense of them. Let's put it this way. So, but couldn't make sense of it in the sense that either they were very dry or what it was saying was not fitting what I would expect. So this was where the problem was coming from. So in this case, there are certain aspects that are being mentioned in Quran which sounds, you know, there are better explanations rather than that. So for this, the problem I think is coming from what to expect from Quran. And here are a few questions that are asked with such a mindset. One is, why does Quran mention events that takes place in the realm of the unseen, ghaib, such as the story of angels prostrating Adam, while at the same time, Quran invites people to question and think. Like this story of Adam alayhi salam being presented to angels and angels prostrating to them, Adam being taught names, and Satan just rebelling and not prostrating, mentioned a few times in Quran. And how are we going to believe in this? Maybe after a certain strong belief in God and in scripture, then you can say that, yeah, this must also be true because the rest of it is true, or because this is in the Quran, so it must be true. Yet at the same time, the same Quran is inviting us to think. So how do I make sense of that? And this is bringing news that I cannot understand, I cannot make sense of. This is one such question. Another question is, Quran persistently repeats minor historical events or minor events, sometimes historical, sometimes minor, like minute events that are happening in the universe as well. But such one example is slaughtering of a cow. So yeah, okay, this happened once upon a time at a certain place, maybe among 50, 100, 200, 500 people. But why do you repeat this? And especially this example of slaughtering a cow is so much emphasized that the name of that chapter was named as cow. So another example is what guidance is there in Quran highlighting natural conditions of creatures, such as rocks. And as we will see an example of this, just dedicates a long verse for this and emphasizing it as if it's a very important point. And the verse is going to be like, the rocks are hard, some of them gushes, like water gushes forth from it, and this and that. Like these are natural things that I observe. So why would Quran mention such a thing? So this is where I think the stung of the unseen world in the manifest world, if I were to, since let's say in my high school days, if I was looking at Quran with this lens, seeing it as the speech coming from the unseen to explain what is behind the things that I see in the manifest world, then things would have been different. Because I was expecting Quran to speak of things as I got used to them being spoken of. So, for example, angels prostrating Adam, like this sounds like a, what do they say, like fiction novels or fantasy novels. It's like a mythology, like a story. And since I didn't put myself in the same, if you like, frequency of or what to expect from Quran, I was finding this problematic. Or like a minor historical event. Who cares? And I haven't been there. This is again could be considered as a news of the unseen to me. So what do I make of such a news? Likewise with the rocks. So yeah, these are the things that I can see. Rocks are hard, tough. Yes, water gushes forth from some of them. Sometimes rocks just explode and roll down from mountain. Actually, this is what the verse is mentioning. Yeah, I know that, but so what? So this would be the type of questions, and we'll be going through these three questions about three answers about these questions. So any comments that you would like to have before we start? If not, I am diving in. Okay. So this is the beginning of Surah Baqarah, where the creator mentions, like, you know, the details of the story. I will very briefly remind the verses themselves, the translations. And when your Lord said unto the angels, indeed, I am going to place a vicegerent in the earth, they said, will you place therein one who will do harm and will shed blood, while we hymn your praise and sanctify you? He said, surely I know that which you know not. And then this is going to be our main verse. And he taught Adam all the names, then showed them to the angels, saying, inform me of the names of these if you are truthful. They said, be glorified, we have no knowledge, saving that which you have taught us. Indeed, you, only you, are the knower, the wise. He said, O Adam, inform them of their names. And when he had informed them of their names, he said, did I not tell you that I know the secret of the heavens and the earth, and I know that which you disclose and which you hide? This is Surah Baqarah, verses 30 up to 33. So how would this change? Let me ask you the question here so that we make it a little conversational, since we are not seeing each other today and not sharing the same space. Like, if this is speech coming from the unseen, this specific unseen event, why is my creator telling this event to me? How does the speech being the speech of the unseen change the way I approach the verse? Any idea? Okay, silence is there. So hoping that you can hear me so far, since I haven't seen any chat message. I'm assuming that you are there. Okay, Sister Zari, please go ahead.
I guess maybe knowing there is an unseen aspect to this, maybe then I can try and really sort of put myself and my life into these verses and try to maybe there's something that I need to know from this and need to apply in my life. So perhaps there's something like I have to something that I'm being taught from these verses myself, like not just some like broad moral or like story, like something that I can like directly apply to my life.
Yeah, Jazakallah khair. So, if I read this as this is something that happened to a person once upon a time, I mean, it did, but then what? So, this applying my creator speaking to me, saying that, look, you have an aspect. That's why I'm speaking to you. I mean, if you are being told something, then it must be relevant to you. This is why this speech is coming to you. And you are more than what you seem to be. This is the distinction I think I'm seeing in terms of manifest world versus the unseen. Brother Birkan, go ahead, please.
Assalamu alaikum. So, considering the Shar Levha, like the title of the topic, so the tongue of unseen in the world of in manifest world. So I think then we should approach, like from this perspective, we should approach all ayahs in Quran as telling us something about the unseen, the ghaib, and in general about the creator, right? The absolute one. But it's telling it with the examples or the words of the scene that we can, connect with. So then it means like when we read an ayah which talks about something that we don't have access, like a historical event or something like what we see on the screen right now, the angels, the first human being created, and so on, whatever it is. We should take it as okay. This ayah, the ghaib aspect of this ayah is obvious. Then we should ask, what is the seen aspect of this ayah? What seen thing, like what among the things that we can experience, what does this ayah relate to? So that should be the question, I guess. And when we read an ayah which seemingly, apparently, talks about the seen things, like as you said, the cow, slaughtering of a cow, or rain coming down from skies and so on, it looks like they apparently, at least, it's about the seen world. Then we should ask the question, what unseen, the ghaib aspect this ayah has? What news from unseen this ayah bring us with these words? So then, again, I will repeat myself, I apologize. But with every ayah, we should seek for the ghaib aspect, which is the main thing, and then the manifest aspect, which looks at our life, like examples in our lives. So when it comes to this ayah, then we should ask, what is knowing things or being told about things correspond to in my life? What do angels correspond in my life? And so on and so forth. I just wanted to highlight that.
Yes, Jazakallah khair. So in this verse, for example, this is a narration of a thing that is in the unseen for me. This is totally unseen, but the speech, since the speech is the tongue of the unseen in the manifest world, so that I would say, well, this is talking about me or human or something in the unseen, but it must have it, since it's speaking in the seen realm, and since it's inviting me to think about, ponder upon, أفلا يعقلون أفلا يتفكرون أفلا يتدبرون, so don't you think, don't you ponder upon. So when this verse comes and says, we taught Adam, and Adam is a specific person, yet when it speaks, every example in the Quran, by even picking up on a single individual event, it is referring to a generalized event. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be a good example, but let's say when you are somebody finding out that, I mean, it's not the best example, but gravity was being first identified. I guess it is, was it an apple that fall to Newton's head? Like, it is one instance is being mentioned, but it is the application of the general phenomena. So in here, when Quran gives us a single example of something, it is talking about a general phenomena. This is rule number one for today. Rule number two, it is having a manifest aspect and an unseen aspect. In this story itself is unseen. But what is the manifest aspect of it then, I should ask? And in this case, since it is mentioning human being taught, now I am reading Adam as human to generalize it. Human being taught all the names. What is this names and how is it related to angels is now becoming our question. So names being taught in this case is then pointing to, as now I'm referring to Imam Nursi's interpretation of the verse, he says this refers to the capacity given to human for understanding, first and foremost. Like a huge capacity to study, to understand the things themselves. And then in the universe, there are so many things that are to be known. Potentially, this is being taught to human as well, like the capacity given to human, but also there are many things in the universe that are to be studied, that are to be understood and accessible to human being. So this is again part of the names that are being taught to human. So today I am at a university, so I do study things that are available to me in here. So this is part of me being taught names, which means still this verse, as it says, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. So I can now read it as, and Allah taught Yusuf such and such subject matter in the university as well. But if I take it one step further, what is the things, the potentiality given to me, the things that are out there to be learned, but what is the point? The point is to get to know my maker. So ultimately, the truth of this learning endeavor is all about getting to know the divine names, which is the truth behind anything and everything in this existence. So this verse is, by highlighting this story, and especially this being one of the climaxes of the story, saying that Adam is taught the names, generalizing this. How do I see this though? If I look at it as this is the tongue of the unseen in the manifest world. And then the conversation goes on to the point that let me read those verses as well. I didn't read them. Okay, they said, be glorified, we have no knowledge, saving that which you have taught us. Indeed, only you are the knower, the wise. He said, O Adam, inform them of their names. And this is in here now highlighting the humans' superiority over the rest of the existence. He said, "O Adam, inform them of their names." And when he had informed them of their names, he said, "Did I not tell you that I know the secret of the heavens and the earth? And I know that which you disclose and which you hide." So with this, my creator is then again highlighting to me in this specific case, but generalizing it, since Quran is by giving unique examples, but they are just unique examples of a generalized principle. So in this case, it is telling me that human, you are created to be superior than the rest of the existence by the fact that you are taught all the names. You are given this quality of ability to learn. But then when we come to the next verse, وَإِذْ قُلْنَا لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ فَسَجَدُوا, and when we said unto the angels, prostrate yourselves before Adam, they fell prostrate, إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ, all except Iblis. فَاسْتَكْبَرَ وَكَانَ مِنَ الْكَافِرِينَ, he demurred through pride, and so become a disbeliever. So what is this part of the story then mentioning? They are commanded to prostrate to Adam after the superiority is highlighted, and all of them prostrated, but then there is Iblis who didn't. I'll just read the rest of the verses and then come back to you for your comments. And we said, "O Adam, dwell you and your wife in the garden, and eat freely thereof where you wish, but come not near this tree, lest you become wrongdoers." But Satan caused them to deflect therefrom, and expelled them from the state in which they were. And we said, "Fall down, one of you a foe, an enemy unto the other. There shall be for you on earth a habitation and provision for a time." So what is this then, the ghaib and manifest? Since these verses are now talking about the ghaib aspect of things, now I need to see what does this refer to in the manifest world, because I do live something, and I used to consider them in another way, but now the verse is saying that actually what you live such and such in your life corresponds to angels prostrating you, and some other such and such things happening in your life corresponds to Satan not prostrating to you. So much so that Satan actually will cause you to, will slip you, will trick you, and make you expelled from the state that you have been in. So what does this refer to then in my manifest world? So how can see it now the other way around? Any opinion? Angels and Satan in my life, what does this mean? Brother Bikan.
Salam alaikum. So if we go with the example you gave, like this ayah is talking about our ability to learn or study, understand things, right? This is just one example that we can extract from this ayah. As we discussed previously, there are many others. If we go with this, then we could maybe understand that, again, with the rule that you, or the approach, the method you mentioned, that it should be talking about something generic. Then I may maybe say that every time I study this universe, I understand something, or I put effort to understand something, there is always these conscious things that I interact with, right? That I face. The Quran calls them as angels. And so I see these different qualities in the things that I study. And the ayah says, if you are careful enough, you will see that what you are studying, all these qualities, actually they are doing what? And nothing but prostrating for God, the creator. That's how the ayah started, right? The angels highlighted their one characteristic, saying that we are always constantly praising you. Tasbihan. So the ayah is telling me, when you study something, you will understand things, that these qualities, and if you are careful enough, you will realize they are all but nothing, all but praising God constantly. And if you are not, so that part will serve you and make a connection between you and your creator. So your capacity to learn will be fruitful. But if you are not careful enough, you will think that these qualities, as the Satan represents, belong to things themselves. They exist by themselves. They are valuable by themselves. And you will stop there. It will not serve you. It will not link you, connect you to your creator, and you will be doomed. So that means with everything we study, no matter what it is, whether it is optics or the cells or whatever the computer algorithms, you will have always these two choices, maybe we can say.
Right. So then in this case, angels, as you were highlighting, are like human in here is being depicted as superior in terms of being taught names. And then by in their prostration, and angels are being presented to us as those who glorify the creator. So then angels prostrating human is going to be, these are the things that are going to serve you in your journey of learning. Because as a fact, in the manifest world, I know that I do not come to this world knowing everything. Yes, I am given the capacity, but learning takes time. So how do I learn in this universe, though? By interacting with the things themselves. Like I use a computer, I grab an apple, I go to sunshine and benefit from sun. Like these interactions are happening. Through these interactions, I get to know my creator. I get to praise my creator. So this everything prostrating to me is actually, now I'm putting what Brother Vikan mentioned in terms of consciousness. As I am conscious of these things, they do have their conscious representatives. And time to time, we talk about this when we talk about belief in angels. So in fact, what's happening is it's an interaction between me and these creatures and this creation, let's put it this way. But on the other hand, there are things in this creation, again, which are not prostrating me, meaning they are not helping me, not only not helping me, but trying to deflect me from reaching or reading, understanding, learning the names. For example, I sit before the computer to get to do something, and then I open YouTube, and then there is a cute kitten video. So if this cute kitten video, I just go there to amuse myself, to not do my proper job, because I was just, let's say I get bored, or I just want to, how do they say, just escape from myself. I click on this cute kitten video, and it is with the hope that it's going to give me satisfaction, it's going to give me go away or get freed from my boredom, just like Satan tricked them by saying that, oh, if you eat from this tree, it's going to give you eternity, or you're going to become like an angel. So there are things in this creation which can act as such. Sorry, okay, Mariam keeps texting. So then they are acting as deflectors, so satanic in this case. And as Brother Bikan was saying, this is an aspect of it. This doesn't mean that, cute kitten videos are evil. No, you can watch a cute kitten video in a proper way as well. At least that example works fine for that. But I can approach this cute kitten video, or most of the time my cell phone, although it's a good tool, but what percent of my use for this is the proper use of it? What percent of it is a satanic use? So by this verse, my creator is saying, highlighting, and this is now applying 100% to me. It's not like the story is 100% about this Adam person who lived a million years ago, but rather, since it's speaking to me and it's a speech of the unseen world in the manifest world, I take it upon myself, and then it is 100% applying to me, and it then becomes applicable to events, and then I look at the things, and I'm going to become careful for satanic things to avoid from them, and I will be benefiting from and being in the company of angelic things. So this is how a otherwise fantasy novel type of a story becomes 100% applicable to me. Now let's get to the second example. This one is again from Surah Baqarah. So the beginning of the part that I'm going to mention, let me read the first verse. And when Moses said unto his people, indeed Allah commanded you that you sacrifice a cow, they said, do you make fun of us? He answered, Allah forbid that I should be among the foolish. And then as a follow-up to this verse, the people of Moses say that, okay, then ask your creator, what type of a cow shall we slaughter? Then Musa alayhi salam tells them this type of a cow. And then they say, well, is it yellow? Is there going to be any blemish on it? Back and forth, there is a conversation that happens. This is from verse number 68, 69, 70. And now I'm putting 71 here. قال إنه يقول إنها بقرة لا ذلول تثير الأرض ولا تسقي الحرث مسلمة لا شية فيها. Moses answered, indeed, he said, verily she is a cow unyoked. She plowed not the soil, nor watered the tilth, whole and without mark. قالوا الآن جئت بالحق. They said, now you bring the truth. فذبحوها وما كادوا يفعلون. So they sacrificed her, though almost they did not. So in this example, again, this is a very specific historical event. Number one, I don't have access to this historical account per se, so it's an unseen story for me. Number two, but let's say, yes, this event has happened, but it's one unique event that happened among a small group of people at a certain time. So what do I make out of this? How is this becoming the truth? How is this becoming Furqan, like the distinguish of right from wrong? So to see this, again, let's apply the tongue of the unseen world in the manifest world. So what is the application of this unseen story, this specific event? How does it generalize, and how does it apply to me in this manifest world now? Any comments are welcome. Yes, Sister Zeri.
Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum. I actually came across these verses like recently. And I was thinking about them a lot because I was trying to sort of understand what I could sort of take from these verses. And I guess one thing I was thinking was that when I am like in general asked to do something, or I have to do and like some sort of I'll just use my lab work as an example. If I have to do a protocol. I do find myself asking a lot of questions because I need to know like the details of said protocol. So I guess part of me was thinking, well, how would they know? Like, I guess I was thinking at first, how would they know like what cow to sacrifice? How would I know like what to do like in any situation if I don't like ask like clarifying questions? But I guess maybe the point here, um, I guess one point I took was that maybe they in at least this story, they made things harder for themselves, like by asking these specific questions when they could have like maybe um just picked a cow. At least that was one one of my understandings, and maybe applying it to my life. Maybe I guess it's for me, I find it a bit hard to apply to the specific example of my lab work because I don't think I can just do like simplify certain things, but maybe to generalize it, maybe there are certain questions that I'm asking that are unnecessary, that are like we were saying, like deflecting away from like the actual purpose of a command or of a task.
Let's think about how that the story is a little bit surrounded. Like these are people who are in Egypt, and Egypt is normally a desert land. But what's specific about Egypt is there's this Nile River, and around Nile River, so farming with the river comes farming. This civilization becomes so rich that they become one of the most civilized nation of their time. So farming is their source of wealth. So, and of course, they didn't have tractors back then. So cow is really the source of their wealth because with cow, they're plowing the field. So today, for example, if we were to say that, oh, it is the atomic energy or it is the, let's say, weapon technology, this is what makes nations strong today. It is either the energy or the technology. So these are the type of things that, like, if one of you in here, let's say, are pursuing a degree in technology or energy, there it's going to make money, a lot of money. So much so that it becomes purpose of my life, goal of my life, or the thing itself becomes like source of my income, source of my well-being. Because cow is the source of their well-being. Cow is the thing that made them stronger than their neighboring nations. Hence, like cow worshipping historically comes from this fact, actually. But Quran is asking them to slaughter a cow. The point in here, slaughtering a cow, is to slaughter this notion of deifying the cow or deifying the worldly strength, or yet thinking that the prosperity comes from the cow, not from the creator. So showing the fallibility, if you like, of a cow, or how mortal a cow is, and for them to experience it with their hands, Quran is inviting them to remember this. But all those questions are being asked in there, not out of piety, as the concluding verse mentions. فَذَبَحُوهَا وَمَا كَادُوا يَفْعَلُونَ. They sacrificed, though almost they did not. So all those questions are sort of to hope for an escape. As an example, I mean, this is not being suggested, but let's assume today you got a, let's say, a degree, a PhD, or like an undergrad degree, whatever, but this is what your whole family has worked for so far, and you're the first gen graduate of a university or something. This makes it a little more tragic. And you get a PhD. and messenger comes and says, tear down your diploma. And then you say, which diploma? You mean the primary school diploma? Says, no, the higher education diploma. Then you say, oh, higher education. You mean the college diploma or the master's or the PhD diploma? He says, the PhD diploma. So you say, well, do you mean the tearing the paper, or shall I also erase the PDF files, online records, and everything? So like the attitude in here is, it's not simply tearing down of a paper, but if I consider this degree, my status, to be what makes me important, what gives me value, like it's not that my creator makes me a thing. If I'm a thing, it's because I am being made by my creator. It's not that my degree makes me a thing. It's not that my education makes me valuable, but it is that I am being created, and that's it. So if any, human's value is in humans being an abd. So humans' value becomes apparent only relative to its creator, not relative to its university degree, not relative to its skin color, not relative to its ancestry. So by saying this, by Qur'an giving the example of slaughtering of a cow, actually saying that whatever is the cow in your world, slaughter that cow, because you are deifying it. So this becomes such an example. Brother Birkan.
Assalamu alaikum. So again, if we apply the same the methodology, that it should be something generic, it should be about me and so on. It brought a memory. So once upon a time, a friend of mine is telling me that the TV, just give me a second, sorry. A friend of mine told me that, I'm talking about like 10 years ago. So the TV was a thing by that time. So he's telling me that the TV is not something nice. Okay, so we shouldn't have it in our home, let's say. And like he's talking about the TV programming, like what you watch there, not the screen, obviously. And at that time, because I don't want to, cut my relationship, let's say, with the TV, I say, yeah, but what do you mean with that? Like, what type of programs you're talking about that they're dangerous, right? And then he gives an answer and so on. And I say, well, like at what time? Like if we watch it at nighttime, it becomes dangerous, not the morning time, and so on. Like I keep finding these excuses, right? So, but when you think about it, and you see that these questions are ways of finding excuses, right? Trying to find one, let's say, the feature of it that you can hang on. And then if you can find it, you will not let it go. So you can apply it to everything, I guess, that you are attached to. So today it would be internet or social media. Somebody tells you that the social media is not good for you. You say, yes, but I use it for getting these and that as well, and so on. So you can, I guess, the expand the list. We can read it also in another way as well, not only to criticize something, but it is interesting, like as they ask, the answer is also given. So it's not that, like it's not just one dimensional. These people are so attached to something, they don't want to leave it, they don't want to slaughter the cow. If that was the case, after a certain moment, the prophet would say, what are you doing, guys? Like we're trying to slaughter an animal here, and you're trying to find all these excuses and so on. But no, he keeps giving the answer as well. So as if, like when you try to apply these generic rules to your life, or a fiqh rule, let's say, to your life, if you just take it and apply it, it will be easy for you. But if you, this is also what we see from the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, right? If unless somebody asks him about the details of any ruling, he wouldn't give the details. He would just give them the simpler version so that everyone can apply it easily. Unless like only when they start asking about it, he would give them the answer. He would give them the answer, all the details. But by doing so, because he knows that they would be facing more difficulties, because they have to take care of all these details now, he would even ask that he wouldn't the answer directly. He would pretend, let's say, not hearing it, or turn his head another way, or ask them, "Are you really sure?" and so on. So we can apply it this way as well, I guess. Like as we are so, I don't know what is the word, like detail oriented, right? About anything in life. As we care about things more than we should, we start asking all these details. But should I do it this way or that way? And then the answer will be given to you. But whether it is for your benefit or not, you should, judge it.
Okay. So then with these two examples, what did we get so far? So the first one was story of Adam alayhi salam. Now the second one is a story where children of Israel has been commanded to slaughter a cow. So both are, since they are the tongue of the unseen world in the manifest world, so it is telling about something that is coming from the truth of things rather than just a historical event. If it was just a news of the manifest world, for example, then we could have said that, oh, this history was lost to us. Now Quran is telling us the history. So the manifest world, it's a speech of the manifest world in the manifest world. It's not like that either. But it is telling me about an event which is having a truth in it. And right now I go through similar events in my life, and it has a truth to it. And this truth aspect is being underlined. This is why it is being said. So this is why I should stop and ask. Actually, there is an example, an interesting example for that. I was reading the diaries of a German lady, and she lived during the Second World War. And her daughter was living abroad. And during the war time, she is still in Germany, and she is sending a letter to her daughter. But since the letters are being scrutinized by the state, they cannot explicitly talk about their conditions. So what she was writing her was a recipe of a food that is made up of from the leaves of potato plants. Then when her daughter reads the letter, she understands that they are lacking food. They couldn't find anything else to cook. And then they were just cooking the leaves of the potatoes, because she knows that her mother wouldn't cook such a thing. It's not part of their cuisine. So if you read it on the surface, probably whomever scrutinized the letter just saw that, oh, like a lady just sending, ladies, they always send recipes to each other. But when you put it into a proper context of who is speaking in what sense, then it becomes a meaningful message. So in my life, if I just read this story, let's focus on the story for a second. Story is being narrated to me. I can read it as just a historical event being mentioned. Or is it just like, oh yeah, these guys were always like this historically. They didn't want to do X and Y, and they just kept dragging. There was a command and they wanted to disobey. Or I can see that, oh no, this is a speech of the unseen in the manifest world, meaning it unveils the truth, what is behind what is visible to you. So slaughtering of a cow was for such a purpose in the story. And now I can take it to myself as well, because the speaker in here is my creator at the moment and speaks this to me. It could, if it was just an event for them, it would have stayed in the past. Then when it comes to me, I read it and see my own cow, which needs to be slaughtered. Okay, and this is our third and last example. This is the follow-up verse, actually. وَإِذْ قَتَلْتُمْ نَفْسًا فَادَّارَأْتُمْ فِيهَا. And remember, when you slew a man and disagreed concerning it, وَاللَّهُ مُخْرِجٌ مَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْتُمُونَ, and Allah brought forth that which you were hiding. فَقُلْنَا اضْرِبُوهُ بِبَعْضِهَا, and we said, strike him with some of it. Thus Allah brings the dead to life and shows you his signs so that you may understand. So this is an interesting verse, could be understood in two ways or maybe multiple ways. But I guess, main meaning that's generally being narrated is that after slaughtering the cow, since this is a follow-up verse, some interpreters say that from a part of the cow hit the dead body, because there was a murder and they didn't know who the murderer was, and there was a dispute among them because they were saying that, oh, some people, like a high-ranked person, so they were trying to hide the killer. So some scholars read this as, with the meat of the cow hit the dead man, and the dead man is resurrected and told them who the killer was. This is one way to take it. Some others take this as, so فَقُلْنَا بِبَعْضِهَا, and we said strike with him, and then verb in this case is going to be taken as giving as an example. ضَرَبَ مَثَلًا. So ضَرْبُ مَثَل is giving examples. Now Quran in this case is going to give the example of a dead body, like a cow, being source of life for you, or you killed the cow, it was a living creature, now it's dead, but you're going to eat it and you're going to be given life. So then this is how we resurrect the dead. So it is reminding us that whomever did this, because there's a murdering event and you're trying to hide it as if you're not going to be held accountable for this. Do you not believe in the resurrection? Like, this is the notion in here. If you killed somebody and trying to hide it and feeling like it's going to be okay if we just cover it up, the problem in here is really belief in resurrection is not there. So, and then this verse is now establishing a way for them, giving them an example of resurrection. So giving by the example of the cow, if this refers to the cow, so then Allah brings the dead to life and shows you his signs so that you may understand. So inviting the people to confess the murder in this case. But the part that I would like to highlight in this verse is verse number 74. Then after that, your hearts were hardened and became as rocks, or worse than rocks, for hardness. For indeed there are rocks from out of which rivers gush. And indeed there are rocks which split asunder so that water flows from them. And indeed there are rocks which fall down from the fear of Allah. Allah is not unaware of what you do. The question that we mentioned at the beginning was, like, if you look at how the verses go, the previous verses were about children of Israel sacrificing a cow, and now two verses that talks about a murder happening and how the murder case is to be solved. Now comes verse number 74, which gives a detailed explanation of hardness of rocks. One of them is, and contrasting this to your heart. Like, what is the point of giving this much of details about the hardness of rocks. This was the question. And you can say that, well, in the laboratory, we can make even more scientific analysis of rock hardness. I am sure that there must even exist a metric for hardness. So why is Quran giving this description of stones, hardness of stones? If we read it on the surface, again, the same problem occurs as I was mentioning at the beginning. Like reading this verse as in translation, probably would like to skip to the next verse because you find hard to make sense of it. But I am finding hard to make sense of it because I am missing the proper understanding of what Quran is. So let's apply the tongue of the unseen world in the manifest world. So now this verse is about the manifest world. It's talking about one aspect of it is, it's talking about the stones, hardness of stones, and resembling it to heart. But since it is the unseen world's speech in the manifest world, this description is not for the sake of defining the stones, of course, but rather highlighting something about this apparently natural phenomena that's happening in there. And is it really natural? So I need to pause there and ask those questions. Like, for instance, it is talking about rocks from which rivers gush. I feel like this is a natural thing. Water cannot get contained, like how it happens. Rain goes down, and then there are different plates of earth, so water gets squeezed somewhere, and then it has to go out of somewhere. So it just, whatever is there, it just gushes forth from rocks. So everything is quite normal in this case. Quran attracting my attention to here, saying that water coming out of rock is something that is created as such, so that you think about it. Even water, even something as hard as rock is giving way to something as soft as water. Why is there such an interesting creation in here? Like, if you ask the question as, what did the painter intended to give as a message in here? And now as it is referring to your hearts were hardened, become as rocks. So there is the water of your life, because how is it not flowing in your hearts? Where is your iman that's flowing in there? Your heart became so hardened that it's even becoming harder than this stone. So pay attention. This is something that you are having a mistake in. Your heart getting hardened is because you didn't give place for water of your life, which is iman. Another description here is there are rocks which split asunder so that water flows from them. And this one also refers to Musa alayhi salam's miracle of Musa alayhi salam hitting the rock, and then it is just وَإِنَّ مِنْهَا لَمَا يَشَّقَّقُ فَيَخْرُجُ مِنْهُ الْمَاء. So Musa alayhi salam hits the rock with his staff, and then water gushes forth from there. This is an interesting example, and it can go back to Varabe in here as well. A prophetic staff. A staff is simply a wood, a piece of wood. A prophet hits the stone with his staff. Definitely, you wouldn't break stones with your staff. At best, you can point to something with your staff, right? So in a sense, it's highlighting that prophet extracts water of life from rock. Now let's read into it, since this is again the tongue of unseen in the manifest world. Can you come up with evidences of creator? Or can you look at a stone and say that God must exist? or looking at a stone, can you say that, you know what, there's going to be an afterlife. I'm not going to become nothing after I die. It's not the end. There's going to be an eternal life. By just looking at a stone. This is what prophetic approach is. Prophet, whatever prophet points to, stone becomes an evidence of the Creator. Stone becomes an evidence of afterlife. I mean, stone is just an example. Bone becomes evidence of afterlife. A tree becomes evidence of existence of the Creator. So in the hands of the prophet, everything starts praising the Creator. So this is what, like, the stone that you thought was so hard and nonsense or just lifeless is so full of life in the hand of a prophet. How about your heart? Why is your heart getting so hardened and not finding the water of life, which is Iman, in the hand of the prophet? What happened? Did you close your ears to the message of the messenger? And also this last piece of it, وَإِنَّ مِنْهَا لَمَا يَهْبِطُ مِنْ خَشْيَةِ اللَّهِ. And indeed there are rocks which split asunder so that, and indeed there are rocks which fall down for the fear of Allah. And this one is again another thing that sounds very natural. Yeah, of course, like a mountain, a rock at a mountaintop, just, you know, if it gets disconnected from the bigger rock, there's gravity, man. What happens? It will, of course, roll down. What is fear of Allah in here? So, as Qur'an expressing this as, actually, this is an event of khashyatillah, having fear of Allah. So, humbly leaving your high position and going down, even looking at a rock rolling down from a mountain, Quran is teaching me to read it as if a human prostrating, putting their forehead all the way to the ground. So this is a very beautiful way of reading the book of creation. So my Creator is saying that this is how mountains would prostrate, by rocks falling down from khashya, from the fear of the Creator, to the lower places. This is what you should read from here. This is an example of prostration, humbling themselves. So how about you? On the other hand, your heart is becoming so hardened. So comparing me with the creation in such a way, my Creator is highlighting that this is the truth behind the events that are happening. This is the real meaning behind what you observe in the manifest world. So come to your senses, listen to the messenger, and so that your heart is going to become softened and filled with the water of life, which is Iman in this case. Yes, and also for this, the latest example that's mentioned here, the rocks fall down for the fear of Allah. This also is an allusion to Musa alayhi salam's, like in his Musa alayhi salam story, when Musa alayhi salam wants to see the Creator. Then the Creator says, you cannot see me, but look at the mountain. And then the mountain crumbles into dust. This verse is an allusion to that event as well. And that event is also very interesting. Like, you cannot see me, the Creator says, but if you look at the mountain, so you're going to see the Creator, meaning his manifestation, by looking at the mountains. And when he looks at the mountain, the Creator says he manifested onto the mountain, وَتَجَلَّى إِلَى الْجَبَلِ, so to the mountain, and the mountain crumbled into dust from khashyatillah, from the fear of the Creator. So in this case, I am being asked, does your heart does your creator not manifest there? What sort of a heart do you have? Because if I were to have or open my heart to manifestation of my creator, and of course one can say that entire time it's a manifestation of the creator, that's correct. But is it as such in my perception? What we are mentioning as heart in here is not simply the organ, the small meat ball in our chest, but do I see as my creator creating me, sustaining me, providing me? What is my perception about this? If I start feeling like it's all about me doing everything or chances doing everything, then this heart really becomes hardened like a stone. So in short, my take, and we are out of time, but I will leave a few minutes if you would like to make any comments. This quote unquote natural explanation of natural states of stones is, if I read it as the tongue of the unseen world in the manifest world, then it's going to become explaining the truth of it rather than in an arrogant way saying that, well, I already know what stones are like. I would say, oh, since this is speech of the unseen in the manifest world, then I should read into it. What is the truth behind these stones? Any final remarks? If not, then may Allah soften our hearts. Let's conclude with that dua. Soften our hearts with the prophetic message and with the water of life of Iman, and make or put the awe and fear of our Creator in our hearts. آمين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم من الحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة.